Hey guys, my name is Margaret Smith. I go by Mo, and I'm here today to tell you a little bit about my story of how I rehabbed two duplexes, really, but I'm going to focus on this one here today because it's the one that I currently live in and the one that I get the most questions about. So this duplex is located in the Lowell neighborhood of Everett, Washington, and I found it by simply driving by it. So I was on the way to get dinner at my brother's house right down the street, and I rolled by and I saw a sign and I stopped and I looked up and I said, that house probably has a view of the mountains, the Cascade Mountains, and I think it might be a duplex. And so I literally stopped, looked it up on my phone, discovered it was for sale and it was a duplex, and I was like, I'm buying it. So the next day I went into work, I met with my boss, Jesse, who is the owner of Pickett Street Properties, and I said, I need to sell my duplex like today and go buy this one. Can you help me? And so we put my former duplex, the first house I'd ever bought, on the market within 6 days, and I made an offer on this house within like 25 days. So when I first saw this house, it was listed for $310,000. And so the initial offer was for that. But because of the current sale of my previous duplex, for other reasons that are too much to go into, basically, I had to redo my offer 3 different times in order to get it to go through. And so we ended up using hard money to purchase this house, and then we refinanced it into the FHA 203K loan. With that money, with that loan, you can basically fit in the money that you need to remodel your house within that loan, so that you're not using your own cash outside of it. And so within that loan, I worked in $170,000 basically, and with that loan, in addition to some of my own money, it ended up being around $240,000 remodel. All right, so I want to share with you a little bit why I mentioned that I used hard money and then refinanced into the FHA 203K. One of the things I love talking about is that you don't want to just use any real estate agent or any mortgage lender, okay? You got to educate yourself on who knows what in the game. So Cody Touchette with Caliber Home Loans is my go-to guy. Why? Because he finds a way. So we had to put an offer on this house in like 3 different ways, and we had to go to hard money because we had to move quickly. Hard money is basically private lending, private investors. You get the cash from a company that's private. It's not with a regular mortgage lender. And with that, you have a higher interest rate, so it costs more to borrow that money. But the benefit is, with the person that I was working with on the other side of the deal, the seller who I was buying from, we could move faster. So he got his money, I was able to close on that deal, and then I refinanced immediately into the FHA 203K loan in order to remodel the house. So that was the process, but that's why it's so critical to have a mortgage lender who knows what he or she is doing and has the education and the knowledge, because there are options that we, as the normal consumer, I'm just your average girl who's not a real estate agent, I don't know all the options. It's their job to know the options and educate you. I purchased the house, the duplex, in mid-April 2017, and then between having the hard money and refinancing, the refi closed the end of July. All right, so that was about 3 months. Started work right away in August and then finished in February 2018. So it was about 8 months of work. Now, one of the things I love to do is talk about the mistakes and the shit that I did wrong, because it's real life, okay? So I bought this house from someone who said that their father was an electrician. So I kind of assumed that the electrical and the plumbing was good to go, along with the insulation. Not true. So you take down the walls and we find that the insulation throughout the entire house is missing at about the top with about 2 to 3 inches. You can't close up the walls with that much insulation missing. So we had to buy a whole lot of new, because you can't just take and fill all the holes, right? We had to get new insulation, so then new drywall. But then even further behind that, we find out the electrical is pulled through holes in the wall. So it's stripped in some areas and it's not safe. That's basically a huge fire hazard. It's not something I want to live in. So we had to redo all the electrical. That was like an additional $7,000 that I wasn't expecting. We had to redo parts of the plumbing and then redo most of the insulation and drywall. And so that was an added cost that I did not expect. Beyond that, another mistake that I love to talk about is when I had my like female empowerment moment, because here I am as a single lady on a single income. I think at the time I was making, I think it was about 55,000, 60,000 on by myself, doing this entire thing by myself. And that's why I like to talk about so much as possible that we don't even know about. You have to realize the opportunities that you have out there. So I went to pick up my stove, my beautiful KitchenAid stove from Home Depot. I was like, yes, I can do this. I'm gonna put it on my mom's truck. It's a little Colorado Chevy, and Chevy Colorado. And I'm gonna drive it to my friend's house. It's just 2 miles away. It's gonna stay there in the garage until I'm ready to install it. I put it on the truck, or actually the Home Depot guys put it on the truck. They asked me if I wanted to have it strapped down. I said, no, I'm not going far. They put it on a pallet on top of the truck. I drive out of the Home Depot. I get about 3 blocks away. I take a right turn, and slowly in the rearview mirror, I see this beautiful stove go like this. And I'm like, shit. I pull over, the front door is smashed in. That's a $500 fix that didn't need to happen. So fortunately, beyond those things, there wasn't a whole lot else that came up. But one other mistake, actually, it wasn't a mistake, it was something we found, was we realized that the structure of the house did not support the front porch, the balcony. And that was gonna be an issue. I definitely didn't want to be out on the balcony and have it coming crashing down, or there's a lot of wind that goes over this valley that's right out in front of my house. And so we ended up having to pay like an extra just $300 though to get some really serious good brackets for the structure of the house, so. The house was finished by February 2018, so I was able to move in immediately. And then I started advertising for a roommate, and well, first I started advertising for a tenant to take the downstairs unit. And so I had a tenant in the downstairs by March, and then I had a roommate that came and lived with me up here in the top level by July. And so my mortgage at the time when I moved in was $3,600, okay? And my downstairs tenant pays about $1,700. So that left me with that remaining amount, $1,800 to pay on my own. I got a roommate who paid, including utilities, $1,000. That left me with $800 to pay. Not so bad, okay? Then here we have COVID. I've been in this house for 3 years. COVID came along and my roommate ended up having to move back home to LA. And so I said to myself, I am ready to live without a roommate. It is time. I am ready. And so I took a look at my mortgage. I called my mortgage company, and I had enough equity in the home by them that I was able to refi out of that loan into a different FHA 203K loan, and my mortgage went down $700 a month. So now I can live roommate free, and it doesn't get much better than that, really. Why I wanted to make this video. It's really important to me to educate people and share with people specific numbers and the situation that I went through in order to attain this house, because it's really attainable for a lot more people than they realize. And one of the biggest reasons that I got to where I am today is from the coaching that I got and the mentors that I got around me, that I surrounded myself with. So Jesse Moore with Pickett Street Properties was not only my boss on the team, but he was a mentor to me through this process. And then Cody Touchette with Caliber Home Loans is who introduced me to this loan and even put the idea in my head. So, you know, the number of times I ran back and forth to Home Depot or Lowe's during those 8 months, it was worth every single run, because I got to create a place that I have had in my head for the longest time. I always wanted to live in a studio in San Francisco or New York, because visually, that is what I saw myself living in, and I got to create that here in Everett, Washington with my own money. And so I can't encourage you enough to start surrounding yourself with people, mentors, coaches that will get you to where you're supposed to be. So with my company, I Love It When, one of the things that I love to talk to people about is personal development. And that includes things like finances and how you start making your money work for you. So I hope that you guys feel like this has been helpful and that you are open to reaching out to me if you have any questions about the loan. I'd love to connect you with Cody Touchette or Jesse Moore and anybody else that could be of service to you. So thank you guys for taking a moment to watch my video. If you have any other questions about the FHA 203K loan or about anything around real estate, building wealth, self-improvement, personal development in your world, reach out. My website is iloveitwhen.org, and keep an eye out for more content. Let me know what you'd like to learn about.